Good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics and Trust TV, your go-to destination for insights on key political developments in the country and beyond. I am Shafi'u Suleiman. Tonight, we take a look at the growing outrage over the arrest, detention and prosecution of some juveniles alleged to have taken part in the August nationwide protest against bad governance in Nigeria. A presiding judge of a federal high court in Abuja, Justice gov't, has commenced trial of 76 suspects, amongst them 32 minors, on 10 counts bordering on alleged treason, intent to destabilize Nigeria and inciting to mutiny by calling on the military to take over, amongst others. The legal action has generated outrage within and outside the country, with civil and human rights activists, legal practitioners, among other prominent Nigerians, condemning the federal government action and calling for unconditional release and payment of compensation to the families of the malnourished children kept in government custody for over 3 months. To help us navigate and dissect the critical issue, we have in the studio tonight Professor Usman Yusuf, a member of the Northern Elders Forum, a former executive secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, and also a professor of hematology, oncology, and bone marrow transplantation. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Shafi'u, for having me today.
Right. So we'll go straight to the conversation. And Prof, it's been a while having you here. I remember the last time was a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You seems to have been, perhaps you've taken a break or so. What really happened?
Just strategic silence.
Oh, okay. That's a great one. What does that mean? Nigerians would like to know. Strategic silence.
There is nothing we are going to say that we haven't said before. This is the truth. We're talking to a government that doesn't hear, doesn't listen, doesn't see. It's called sumum bucum umium, deaf, dumb, and blind. But when things like this happen, what you've just introduced, I mean, we must speak up. It's wajib. It's our responsibility to speak up. History will ask, where were we when this thing happened?
All of this is happening.
Absolutely. So that is the reason. But we'll continue to talk when we must, and that's why I'm here today.
Well, what some would say, anyway, starting from that, some would say perhaps the government may be listening, looking at some of the changes that we're seeing and some of the actions taken and so on. Take, for instance, there has been concerns around the need for the government to come alive, if you like, rejig the cabinet, strategize, shake up the system so that things will start working. And we saw that happen. The president did that, changes, shown some ministers the exit door and then brought in some and then follow up with some far-reaching, if you like, reforms on tax and all of that. Isn't that a response?
I love it. Okay, let's look at the cabinet reshuffle. Okay, what has it done? It's just cosmetic, just working on the edges. The two main things that ail us in Nigeria, particularly in the north, the economy, that has caused the poor management of the economy by this government, that has caused runaway inflation, an increased cost of living, and hunger that is imposed by this government because of its World Bank imposed removal of subsidy and floating of the naira.
But World Bank is distancing itself now.
Right, and security. So these two main things. So if I want to change anything, if I'm the president, I will look at those areas, not sports, not housing, not whatever else he's touched. So it's just cosmetic. Let's be real. The economy and security are the two things that ail us, and the president thinks all is well, and he's left things as they are. So he hasn't done any change, to be honest. He wants to deceive himself, and the rest of the team, he's welcome, but no change.
Okay, we'll leave at the second one because we have to tie it to another issue, the tax reform. But before then, let's look at our subject matter. Just like you said, you're compelled, by the disturbing videos of those minors, that were arraigned and all of that. And that has generated a lot of outrage, not just in Nigeria, even at the international community level. What do you make up with the development? 3 months after this event, so to speak, the August End Bad Governance protest. These children, if you like, and the suspects have been kept in custody for over 3 months, so to speak. Now, suddenly the government arraigned them, and then you take a look at the charges: treason, alleged treason, incitement to mutiny, and so on and so forth. Is it comprehensible, looking at the charges and then looking at the people that are charged?
Right. To be honest, my anger has dissipated some over the last 24, 48 hours. But I'm still very angry, like we all should. I didn't see these video clips. They were sent to me from outside the country. One from Chicago, person I didn't know, a number I didn't know. And another one from Brisbane, Australia. As far away as Australia, on that same day. I hadn't seen it, but these two guys had seen it. I called them, they are journalists. And they were inquiring and asking me, is this a new school abductions that the children are back? You remember we were involved with rescue of some of these hostages? I said, no. This is the handiwork of the federal government of Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the venue you saw there is a federal high court.
Presided over by a federal judge.
Yeah, very, very shameful. I mean, it's heart-wrenching. The children. So during the protests, over 2,000 protesters that were doing their legitimate right as citizens to protest, they were abducted. I would say abducted. And many were kept in places nobody knew. Nobody knew about these children until they appeared in court. And these children were brought, if you look at them, they were abducted from Kaduna, Katsina, Kano, Gombe, and Jos. And they were renditioned.
You said abducted.
Yes, they were abducted.
But this is an arrest by legitimate security operatives.
Look, Shafi'u, how can you legitimately arrest a minor and charge him with adult offenses? Any reasonable? There's lack of common sense, and there is irresponsibility. There is no supervision. And that is why I say the IG must take full responsibility, because this shame to the nation, this dastardly act happened under his watch.
But he seems to have...
Let me finish a few.
Yes.
Let me finish a few. This is serious. Our image all over the world has been dented by this. Our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's not only our president of a country, Nigeria, that is signatory to many
international laws,
international treaties protecting children. He is also the chairman of ECOWAS. What is he going to tell his fellow heads of states? This is shameful, and it should be as it is. Look, for us in the north, particularly those of us that have been involved in this banditry thing, it brings bad memories of mass abduction of children by bandits and them being rescued. I mean, the very sad thing is, Shafi'u, these children we saw in the court of law were in worse shape than many we rescued from bandits.
Yeah. Before we talk about the dehumanizing state at which they were presented, if you like, two key issues, going by the prosecutors. First, they don't agree they are minors. They say these are, family men, married men and all of that. And then they were also said to have been arrested at a point, they were either involved in alleged treason, by holding another country's flag, or chanting slogans asking the military to take over, or engage in arson and so on and so forth. And there's criminal offenses, for instance.
So this government is jumpy and insecure. If you cough too loudly, they will say you are. A government that is very secure of itself, you wouldn't see this. And the only way to be secure is do the right thing for the people, what you are elected to do. Not look at chasing your shadow. This is exactly what they're doing. Children are going to overthrow your government. Waving a flag is a big deal. For goodness sake, we just saw, did we not see clips from, was it Lagos or Ibadan, of protesters asking for the military to come? What did they do? The antidote to any military coming in government is good governance. The antidote to any undemocratic government is good government. No military dare come if all is well.
Things are working.
Absolutely. So, for any president that is taking our democracy for granted, this our hard-won democracy that people died for 25 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are beneficiary of our leaders past. Those people that have passed. You are a Nadeco activist, but you ran away. Those that were left here, many were killed, many were injured, many were disappeared during the military. You are a beneficiary of the struggle of people. And Nigerians that stood that we want democracy. And you're taking that democracy for granted by not listening to the people. And you are blaming children. Look at them. Are they the ones that will change any government for you?
Yeah. Let's look at the underlying, factors here or issues. First, these young children perhaps were engaged in the protest, as you rightly mentioned, to protest, what they tag bad governance. One, the legitimate right to protest peacefully, as guaranteed by the Constitution. Has it been abdicated or observed? That's one aspect of the question. And two, whose responsibility it is perhaps to either take them off the street if they seem to be, product of the street, and whose responsibility also it is to educate them, because also the Constitution has guaranteed at least, basic education. Primary 1 to junior secondary 3 is basic and constitutional, for instance. So who have abdicated responsibility here? The parents, the government,
right.
Who?
Good. So you're talking about the constitutional right of every citizen to protest. Of all the people in Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the greatest beneficiary of the right to protest. During the military, he protested God knows how many times. During Jonathan, he did. Did anybody lock him up or lock the children around Bodilon in this dehumanizing way? It is during his time that we're seeing these optics, like you would see children during war, in a sacred place, a court of law, where people should get justice, under his watch, under the watch of the Attorney General of the Federation, under the watch of the Inspector General of Police, and they are justifying this criminality. No, this is inexcusable, and they need to hear it loud and clearly. People are calling us from outside. We that have connections all over the world, we are ashamed to own up. Yes, this is done in our name as Nigerians. This is a mess, it's a criminality and must be fully investigated. And these children need to be released now and be fully taken care of. We'll come back to that. You're talking about whose responsibility is it to educate.
Yeah, look, because if they're talking about treason, perhaps
right.
These are some big legal terms that these children may not even understand.
No. So, the law is a noble profession, and I must commend the lawyers of these children who have been dogged in defending these children. Pro bono. Many of them out of their pocket, they were buying food for these children. Without them, we would never have known. We would never have known them. We would never have known this case. Many would die in jail or be there languishing forever. They were dogged that they must be arraigned so that the whole world will see them. If they were not in court, we would not have seen them. So I commend these lawyers, and may God Almighty reward them abundantly. In the same breath, I will condemn the prosecutor and the presiding judge. The law requires common sense, just like medicine.
But
A doctor, let me finish. A doctor, because you can operate doesn't mean you should operate. It's lack of common sense, lack of compassion. A judge, you see children like this falling and dropping, and you continue to do that instead of stopping everything, calling an ambulance and getting them to hospital. We have seen politicians in this country. We have seen politicians in this country when they are brought to the court on stretchers, and the judge will stop everything and ask them to go. But our children are falling, clearly malnourished and sick. And you are going to continue to arraign them because you have no common sense, you have no compassion.
But the judge was said to have, risen abruptly, to allow perhaps for that.
These children, and we don't know what state they are in. These children needed to be in hospital then. Each time we get people or children out of this kidnappers den, yes. The first place we go to, we take them from the forest. The first place we go to, a military hospital. They keep them there. They treat them. Military medical team are there waiting. Hydrate them, nourish them, and give them blood if they need to. Treat all infection. But what happened here? You brought them out of the den of the IRT, sick and dying. Where did the government take them back to? Back to that den. Because there is no common sense, because there is no compassion.
So in a way, you are saying that their fundamental rights have been violated.
Not only they have been violated criminally too, without sense, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the world. It's just like us getting captives from kidnappers, and then we take them back to them. This is exactly what happened here.
You're not a lawyer, but there is also this legal argument that the right place to have prosecuted this suspect was originally their home state, where the offenses took place. But I don't know whether it is the legal system or so that allow for the federal institution now to mop up this suspect from across the states and move them to the center. Some say ordinarily if they have been in their respective states, it is the responsibility of the state governments and so on, to take care of them even before prosecution and all of that. But they were taken from across the states where these offenses took place. Was it deliberate by design to just bring them together?
Shafi'u, this is criminal impunity and arrogance of power. Neither the president nor the police have the authority to do that criminality. They did. End of story. Minors, you put them in Black Marias and with blindfolded. From Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Jos and Gombe to Abuja on trump-up charges. For goodness sake, isn't there an adult? What manner of men are our leaders? Don't they have children? The Attorney General or the IGP will go to bed and tuck their children to bed when they left people's children in that state.
At the point this young children were prosecuted, some say the IG was attending to his children graduation elsewhere, outside the country anyway.
And he is quoted to have said, the children that fainted in the courtroom, they were acting. It was an act. These are the kind of leaders with the heart of stone that we have. And they expect us to fold our arms and just watch them, mismanage us. And what they are saying, essentially this government, what it's doing is criminalizing our constitutionally guaranteed right to protest. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying by terrorizing these children, he is showing the world, showing us that this is what's going to happen to you if you do anything against me. And
but isn't that working?
No,
because October 1st.
No. Shafi'u, this is serious. The police swore to protect us. The judiciary, the judges swore to administer justice.
Irrespective of who
So all this criminality was done with the complicity of the police and the judiciary. If I'm a judge, you bring these children to my court, I will dismiss you and ask the children to be taken back there and then to the hospital. Which sensible judge will sit down and listen to 14, 15-year-old brought for treason?
But some will say, justice is blind and justice is sent to be done to whoever, irrespective of, okay.
Justice is, look, we have friends, classmates in the highest court of the law. We have friends, retired judges. I don't know what brand of lawyers they are training now. They have no common sense, no compassion. The law is not made in abstract. You are looking at the book when a human being is dying before you. For goodness sake, this is not acceptable.
Yeah. Okay, looking at the prosecution and the reasons behind the prosecution and the triggers, for instance, the bottom line is bad governance, and that's what brought about the protest in the first place. And also Nigerians have a fundamental right, to good governance. The essence of government is to guarantee security and welfare of the citizens. Also a constitutional provision. Now, on the other way around, is there anybody talking about holding the leadership accountable or also taking the leaders perhaps to account on some of these constitutional breaches, for instance? Because if you cannot guarantee security, you cannot guarantee welfare of the citizens, you are also contravening the sections of the Constitution.
Right. It's the right of the citizen. Your right as a citizen and your duty as a citizen does not end after you drop your ballot. What you and I are doing is we are playing our part. And there is a saying is that the world will be better tomorrow if you do your part today. We are doing our part. We must raise our voices as citizens. If we don't, we allow this government to be monsters, like they're turning into. We must raise our voices. Citizens are waking up. They're waking up. They're waking up to the responsibility that they are not going to allow this to continue. They have a lot of power. And protest is the constitutionally protected right of every citizen. Security services need to know that. Soldiers have no business. They have no business being on the street like they were when citizens go on protest.
But they would tell you that they're doing that under aiding the civil authorities. Perhaps the civil authorities have failed.
No, they know that. And if they don't know, they should go and look at the military doctrine. That's not their job. It's bad enough that the military is doing internal policing. But going around and shooting children on the street when they come out and protest, this is not the job of professional military. And no soldier or officer will be proud of himself doing that. And the police too. They are better than what is being portrayed. For goodness sake, we are human beings. We are losing our common humanity. We really are.
So where is all of this taking us to? Because you talked about perhaps a deliberate plan, to criminalize, constitutional rights of the people to protest and all of that. And there seems not to be, just like you mentioned earlier, a respite, in spite of all of this outrage. With the protests and everything that happened, things, perhaps some say, still remain the way they were, if not getting worse. So, how do we navigate this? How do we reconcile the issues? On one hand, citizens have the right to protest, which they've been doing, and this is the end result. On the other hand, leadership have also responsibilities to respond to the yearnings of the people, and here we are.
Right. And I'm warning the government. The reason you and I are talking, we are articulating the frustrations of people that cannot talk. And once they see the likes of us talking, then they say, yeah, it's not everybody that is not listening to them. That, yeah, some people are talking to the government, right? In the North, for generations, the two group of people, leaders that have held things down, traditional rulers and clerics.
The ruling elites?
No, not ruling elites. They have held things down because people looked up to them and respect them. Even politicians, when things go south for them, they run to this group. It is unfortunate that this two group of our leaders are losing their
esteem,
authority in the eyes of the people, especially our clerics, because they are seen to be in bed with their oppressors, the politicians, and it is dangerous.
But just recently, we saw a coming together of all of these groups that you're talking about. Those in the ruling class, the traditional institutions, and other critical stakeholders in the region coming together for a purpose. Yes, they said it is beyond just about tax reforms. You know, they mentioned certain other issues that we're going to also discuss. For instance, the total blackout that took place, about 14 days of darkness in the north, and all of that. And then they're also talking about tax reform. Which way? I mean, how do you look at that gathering? Was it in the interest of the people in the first place? Because if it is, looking at what happened, 3 months, these young children are in captivity. No one seems to be talking until now that they are being arraigned.
Good. And you would expect. These children were abducted from Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, Jos, and Gombe, like I said. You would expect the governors from this state to talk. If they didn't know then, now they know. And they're members of the National Assembly, they're senators and members of House of Reps. They should be the one making a lot of noise, calling the Attorney General of the Federation to account, calling the Inspector General of Police to account, calling the presidency to account. But no. Mom is the word.
Why?
The governors, the governors. I mean, people have lost faith in our leaders, our political leaders, and that is dangerous. If there's nobody that can come out and talk to people that they can trust and let them calm down, for good reasons too. The governors are the biggest problems we have in the north, not only in the north, all over. Since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, since the removal of subsidy, these are our governors all over, from Abia to Zamfara, the money they have gotten.
Triple, quadruple even.
Quadruple. But we are not seeing commensurate development with back home. Instead, what we are seeing, SUVs. They're buying SUVs for clerics, SUVs for traditional, SUV for themselves, SUV for their political praise singers. And people are watching. So you go to Kaduna and gather. You've never gathered for the hunger you imposed. You've never gathered for the
kids that have been in custody.
The hardship. The children in custody, they haven't said anything. So they gathered, they talked about other things, but the thing that made the headlines was the gov't. That's where the money is. They're now seeing they're not going to get more money if this tax reform goes through. So they are raising their voices. So they gathered not for God or country. They gathered because they are seeing less money. People are watching. We are talking because we are afraid. Wallahi, Shafi'u, I've never been more afraid of things in Nigeria than I am today. Things are tough. Millions of Nigerians, particularly women and children, go to bed hungry. And they wake up in the morning with no certainty of having anything to eat. And here you are. You see those governors in convoys, brand new SUVs, doing nothing. building overhead bridges, building flyovers.
Airports that are not usable.
Airport that nobody uses. And go to the schools, go to the hospitals. People are struggling to eat. There's no water in most of the state capitals.
Is it a coincidence that all of these things are happening to the north? Because some are beginning to see that, systemic trajectory, so to speak, the negative trajectory, it keeps growing. I mean, it keeps, looking at the sequence of issues that have been affecting the region, for instance. We talked about the end bad governance protests. It doesn't happen only in the north, it happened across the country. But today the children that have been seen in custody are children from this northern states, for instance. Why is it so? That's one. Parents, leadership would have to account. And then two, from the economic point of view, the region is also underage. Beyond the negative or declining indices of development, human capital, poverty, and all of that, yet there was, even though they said it's systemic too, the collapse, the vandalization of the power lines and all of that, the region was in darkness for 14 days. The quantum of what was lost is put in the region of trillions. Why is all of this happening? Is it a coincidence?
No, it's not a coincidence. I told you two things. Go no further. Corruption and bad governance. Alhamdulillah, I'm 64. I'm older than many of these governors. We went to school. Our children were not rich. We went to school from village primary schools, secondary schools. We went to Ahmadu Bello University. Our parents didn't pay a penny. We were educated from our people's commonwealth. We went into the world and competed favorably from these village schools. What does that tell you? What that tells you is that our education at that time, our leaders invested. There wasn't as much money as there is now. Those leaders invested in us. That's why we are able to sit down here, become productive citizens. That is why every waking day of our lives after we pray for three people. Our parents departed, our teachers who taught us well, and these are our leaders of our time who invested in us. And that's why we're here. So you cannot see that of the current crop of leadership. All they want to go to Egypt or Dubai and buy properties and malls and all over the world. Wherever you go. And this is what I tell. I have friends who are judges, generals, whatever, you've retired. Whatever. All of us, former this, former that. How many of us can go back home to our ancestral land and remain, even for the weekend? Without those big guns, those that have guns. We are all IDPs here in Abuja because we forgot to do what our forebears did. So you can steal whatever you want to steal.
You're confined in.
No, because even in Abuja you're not safe. You can't drive to Kaduna and you have all these people with guns. So you can steal whatever you want to steal, but you are not safe. And your children are not safe. Your grandchildren are not safe. Those that you did not educate will come after. Look at this is all the cause of this banditry and insurgency. It is the poor that are uprising, picking up guns. And this is what I tell them. These kids, if you release them, or if they over the years, if they pick up guns and become bandits or informants, then you say, oh, you want to buy Tucano to fight them, when there was an injustice meted out to them.
Okay, I think it's about time we open the lines, because the program is also interactive. We want to interact with Nigerians. You have the time now to call and share your thought with us. This is a national issue. Of course, a burning national issue that has generated outrage across the land. Let's hear from you. What do you make up with this arrest and the prosecution of the minors And of course, you know, what do you think should be done? Because the narrative now, or rather the conversation now, is around the need, you know, to release unconditional these kids, and then to compensate where necessary.
Right. Release them unconditionally as soon as possible. Compensate them. Take them to hospital and take care of them at the expense of government. Just like all the ones we get out of the forest, they're treated in military hospital at the expense of government. And no, you don't even see them on camera until they are better. Yeah, they are clothed, they are taken care of. Compensate them, compensate the parents, take them back home. We used to fly back victims from one place to the other, back to their families. But here, the federal government cannot take care of the ones they abducted.
In the long term, you know, beyond just doing this, these kids are part of the, you know, the larger street, if you like, children out of street. We're talking about 20 million of this.
20 million.
Okay, I think we have a caller on the line. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Who do we have on the line?
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where are you calling from?
I am Ali Ibrahim calling from Suleja.
Okay, Ali, go ahead, please.
I wanted to thank your guest speaker there. He's doing a lot of justice to the topic of the day. The problem we have in Nigeria is the confidence and the ability to talk truth to the government. So today, the people that are in authority tends to see the citizens as if they are slaves. And this is not supposed to be. The people that are being voted into power are supposed to be the servants of the people that voted them into position. It is so disheartening to see Nigerian children being treated like as if they are slaves in their own country. And these are supposed to be the future leaders. There is no provision being made to sustain their future tomorrow. I highly want to commend your guest speaker for having the courage to be saying what he's saying, because it's not everybody that would like to say it as it is. Say the truth, you will die. Tell lies because of personal interest, you will still die. And all responsibility, all accountability, I wanted to say, belongs to Almighty Allah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ali, for your insight on the platform. Thank you very much. Okay, here is one issue that perhaps I think you need to elaborate. Looking at what happened to these kids, you know, the long-term implication. They were hungry, they get out of their homes to protest bad governance. Secondly, they were arrested and taken to custody. And lastly, they are being prosecuted in this dehumanizing condition. What does this tell to their future? How do you think they're going to look like at Nigeria, in the long run? But then I think we have another caller.
Go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Hello. Seem we lost that call. Okay.
Right. Yeah. No. The point is that we have to take care of these children. I'm a doctor. These kids are traumatized, and only God knows how long it will take. And the best way to get them healed is get them back to their family. The government to be involved and support them. And of course, our people are very religious. spiritual leaders help these kids to heal. But governors of each of the states where these kids are taken need to help these kids back to school and sponsor them through their education. That is the only way to get them out of, to get their mind out of the experience they went through. They were put with adults.
All right, we'll have another call. We'll talk about those other suspects. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, who is on the line?
Yes, my name is Mr. Gov't. I'm speaking from Port Harcourt.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, the man, the professor there will kill. God will bless him.
Amen.
He's a true Nigerian, right? Yes. All our rulers, what they do in this nation is punishing people, punishing their subject. Because if you see these boys in that cell, in that court, I wept. I wept. I will tell you, I wept. But why should that kind of thing happen? You cause the protest, and who are protesting now is calling them they want to keep them alive. Small children. And the world is seeing it. The world is seeing it. But the crime is all. I know our Muslim brothers, they are good people, very dedicated, innocent people. But see what is turning around now. Double ticket, Muslim body ticket. See how Nigeria turned upside down.
Yes.
What are we talking about? Who are we to blame? Allah, Almighty God is watching.
True.
Anything you do in this world, you will repeat, you will pay for it. You don't pay, you must pay for it because you must answer for it. God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Talking about accountability, everyone would have to account for his stewardship.
Absolutely.
And then he's also raised another issue, talking about, perhaps the perspective he put it, but then what he's talking about is the fact that Nigerians also have a responsibility. They should also take responsibility for the leadership they have, especially looking at the periodic elections that took place and all of that. But before I answer that, I think we have another caller on the line. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Shafi'u Suleiman in the studio.
Yes, Shamaki, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. The guests also good evening once again.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. On the issue of minors that were arrested during bad governance and detained is unfortunate. I thought the law says only 18 and above can be detained in any custody. But those minors I saw, some of them are not up to 18 years. So I'm asking, are they Nigerians? If yes, where are their parents when they were taken to the court? I saw one of them found inside the court, and the many of them struggling to eat inside as if they are slaves. It is uncalled for. Those that men coming out for protest, is it a crime? So why do people go out for protest? It's because the government are not doing what is expected to our citizens. And yes, people came out in March for protest to express their grievances. And government of the day went and made an arrest before others.
Right.
Please and please, is it a democracy or military regime that we are experiencing from this very government? So with this situation, no right to liberty, freedom of speech by this administration. Very sympathetic acts. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, to add to that question, maybe let me allow you to answer that question first before I take one that emanates from his response.
I will answer the gentleman from Port Harcourt. I forgot his name.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay.
Yes.
The gentleman from Port Harcourt raised a very important point, and he was talking about Muslims need to essentially the point he's making is that the North. The North, the Muslim ticket was what attracted the North. Essentially, he may be politically correct, but I don't know how to be politically correct.
I wouldn't want to take it from that. But I understand what he's talking about.
But
taking responsibility for
what I'm saying, we in the North, we are getting the short end of the stick. All these kids are from the North, right? The power outage you're talking from the North, the poverty in the North. The leadership, we voted in the north. I have a friend in Lagos complaining, sending to him. He said, Prof, it's you in the north that voted the president.
So you take responsibility.
You must take responsibility. Simple. This is what the gentleman is saying, and this is what democracy is all about. Citizens have a right to take responsibility for what they elected, not through undemocratic means. Next time, do the right thing. 5 million out of the 8 million President Bola Ahmed Tinubu got it from the north. So if the north is complaining, people in the south, even Yoruba will look at you guys and say, you voted him in. We didn't vote him in Lagos. Essentially, the point is making, and we should be making, is that citizens all over the country must take responsibility, not only president, but even local governments or whoever you elected. How do you take responsibility? Not being docile, like we've all been. You think if we've not been talking, this government would care about these children? It's the right and responsibility of citizens to question their leaders, the leaders they elected. They are not emperors.
Yeah, just talking about taking responsibility, Shamaki, you also raise another fundamental issue, the parental guide, parental care. Where are the parents when all of these kids have been taken, arrested, so to speak?
Let me tell you, many of the parents did not even know. There was a story of a mother.
Yeah.
A mother.
That traced the...
Right. Her daughter was sick. She sent this little kid, who is the elder brother of this girl, to go and buy medicine for her. And she didn't see him again. He became a
victim of circumstance.
Right. The only time she saw him was when he appeared on the court. He was mopped up by the police. So you tell us. And there are children all over the place, not only in the north. Go to Lagos, go to Port Harcourt, go to Benin. They're all over. There may be a lot more here, but there are lots of children out on the street. So it is the responsibility of government everywhere, just like they were educated to be where they are. Many of these people, they are not the children of the rich. They are who they are because of the country, because of the commonwealth of the nation. But now they think they are self-made. No, nobody's self-made. You are part of the society and you benefited from that society. So we all have a duty and responsibility, especially those that have the levels of power, those that are elected to do what they're supposed to do. Otherwise, God Almighty will ask each and every one of them.
Yeah, doing what they're supposed to do. The Attorney General of the Federation was said to have waded in, intervened, taken over the files or so. Do you think something may likely come out of that? Some say the federal government may be considering withdrawing those charges. That's one. And then two, how do you think, other critical voices can be added? The National Assembly, for instance, has also a responsibility. Earlier you talked about the need for them to question, the actions or inactions of the key players, the IG, the Attorney General, and so on and so forth. Do you see this coming in the nearest?
Right. Unfortunately, and I've said it in several fora. I mean, this president, he cares about 5 main people. The governors, he gives a lot of money to. The National Assembly getting a lot of money. The total budget of the National Assembly, over 197 billion, is more than the budget of 25 federal universities in this country.
So education is not the priority.
I know, and he gave them what? How many billions to buy more cars? So they are shut up. They won't talk. The third group of
even
people,
in the face of this outrage?
They won't. If look, what have they done? Have you not seen 2 senators that dared to challenge the leadership? What happened to them?
But it's a collective responsibility.
Yeah, they will only hide in the group, but nobody has the backbone to do the right thing. As they should. That's why we elected them. We didn't elect them to go and be in the crowd. My senator, I elected him to go and represent me Katsina Central. Go back home and hear our issues and go and talk. But are they doing that? They're all quiet. So the governors are quiet, the National Assembly, they are quiet, and of course the Muslim clerics are quiet.
Except for one that was seen to have
another fourth one is this political praise singers that sing nonsense.
Yeah,
and then the security services. And he thinks if he has these 5 groups, the masses can do whatever. He will send security services to go and quash people and do exactly what they have done.
Is there no day for reckoning? 2027 is lucky.
No, not only 2027. Today, now they are sitting up. We are speaking up. They are sitting up. Nobody is going to wait 2027. They must do the right thing today. Not 2027. So back to these children. We are not talking about the Attorney General recalling the file. There is no file to recall. These children must be released unconditionally. Dismiss this case, compensate these children for the pain and suffering you've caused them, compensate the parents, take them back home, give them to their governors, give them money, and educate them, and investigate this thoroughly. How many more are in prisons all over? Not only in Abuja. How many more of these children are in Katsina, or Kaduna, or Kano, or it is all in the north. Because it is the north that the people came out to protest.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. I understand time is really not on our side. I love we go on and on, but we have to call it a day. Thank you very much, Professor Usman Yusuf, for talking to us on Sunday Politics. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you very much, Shafi'u.
And that's a wrap on today's, this week edition of Sunday Politics. Do join us tomorrow. We'll be back with another interesting topic and personalities. Until then, on behalf of the technical crew, my name is Shafi'u Suleiman. Thank you for watching.